Femi, how's it going?
Brilliant over here. I've heard some really interesting things so far.
Great. Yeah. Great. And we're only just getting started. We've got so many more great sessions to come today as well. But Femi, let's talk about you for a minute, mate, because you're a tech entrepreneur, um, but you started your entrepreneurial career very young. Can you give us a bit of background and some of the highlights of what you've been doing so far?
Okay, so I guess in terms of my highlights, I'd have to say in 2017, I was awarded an inaugural Legacy Diana Award, and I also got a Point of Light Award from the Prime Minister for my service to the community, upskilling young people in the digital skills. And the same year, I actually went to Bangladesh to teach street kids to code.
Wow.
And when I came back, I set up my business, which was really, really fun. And I got a few keynotes as well for Red Hat in San Francisco at the age of 11. I got to do a talk over there, which was really, really insightful. And just before COVID, I represented the Department of International Trade in Thailand and also the Global Tech Advocates in China. And also this year, I got a New Year's honor from the open source community. It's not quite the Queen's New Year's honors, but I went to the House of Commons in June.
Great.
Yeah.
It's better. Open source community, better than the Queen anyway. So what exactly, I mean, how did you get into coding and tell me a bit about your business as well. I'm interested to know exactly what it does.
Okay, so my business is HackerFemo, and I do keynote talks, and I also develop and deliver sort of events for corporate companies, but also public organizations. And I guess now I do a lot of keynote talks around young British tech talent, diversity and inclusion, open source, but also my focus is leaning towards sustainability and technology. So I talked at COP26 about a citizen science project that I've been developing and exploring sort of the environment using air quality sensors.
Right.
And I've developed an environmental hack that I hope to take to other cities around the world.
Can you give us any more detail on that? Sounds amazing.
Yes, so I've been working with carbon dioxide sensors. I've actually been working with CO2 sensors, which is slightly different and detect CO2 in a slightly different way. And it's been really interesting because the way that I've run it has been really open. It's been really experimental. So I went and ran my citizen science project for 2 days at the Tate, and there are a lot of questions that people had, and it was actually really interesting to be able to explore it together, because these are questions that people often have around sort of the validity of data, what these data points are actually saying, what these environmental statistics are, and we were able to explore them in a really open way.
Amazing. And are you feeling hopeful for the future? I mean, one of the things that I've been learning from yesterday as well and from today is how many people are working so hard on the issue of climate change and how so many skills can kind of feed into it. It's your generation, that is going to inherit the mess that my generation or maybe the generation before has made. But are you feeling hopeful and positive about everything?
Definitely. I think obviously there are a lot of problems, and there's lots of things to solve, but that also means there's a lot of chances for disruption and a lot of opportunities also coming up. So I know in a lot of industries there's now this transition away from sort of the heavy fuels to looking at sort of using electricity power instead, and that brings up so many different job opportunities, and it is going to also create a massive skill shortage, which can be taken advantage of. And I guess just the importance of tech is now really being reiterated.
That skill shortage is again, that's one of the inspirations for this whole event, is showing people all of these opportunities and how important it is that young people out there fill those vacancies. Final thing, I did read that you wrote some code which was used on the International Space Station. How the heck does that work?
Well, we actually, back in 2015, sorry, I set up the South London Raspberry Jam, which was around running sort of accessible community coding events and getting young people into tech. And once we established our events and we ran them a few times, we realized that the same young people were really enthusiastic and going to every single one. And so we set up a Young Pioneers group. And one of the very first competitions that we entered was called the Astro Pi Competition with the European Space Agency in 2016. It was all about sensors, coding in Python, data collection, and the challenge, well, one of the challenges was to find a way to detect when astronauts were in the Columbus module of the International Space Station, which is where they do their research. And it was actually a really good challenge, as we had to apply our knowledge of Python to a real world situation. There was actually also as well a second side to it where you had to design your own experiment, and we developed Python code together to measure and store the frequency readings from the space station and try and turn it into sort of a musical score of what space sounded like.
Wow.
It's really, really awesome.